as to their story, so it should be very interesting.
Thank you. I've told 7 to 9 minutes, so I gotta make it quick. A lot happened that day, and a lot's happened since. It was an amazing time. I just got my stuff back this week from the FBI that I had with me, that they confiscated when they arrested me back in 21. So I was carrying this, I was wearing this, I was wearing this. This was brand new back then. And I was carrying this, which was a shooting school. I came with 3 other guys, 2 from my church, a little older than me. Had a hard time walking, so I made sure everybody brought stools to sit on. I brought a walking staff. And we found a parking space. Really wasn't legal, I guess, but there was no yellow paint on the line. But so we had to walk about 4 miles to get to where we were going, to the ellipse first. And you know, the news media was terrible at what they said about President Trump, because if you heard his whole speech, his speech was awesome, and he told us to go peacefully down to the Capitol, and that he was going to come out and tell us what was going on, which he couldn't do because of the rioting that was going on, but that was all started by the feds anyhow. Just so you know, I'm not anti-police, I'm definitely pro-police. My dad was a part-time cop. My daughter went to criminal justice school before law school and worked for Homeland Security. I had a cousin that was a Boston, Mass detective. I'm definitely pro-police. They offered me a job that I was making more money. I wasn't getting shot at, so I didn't take it. But the E-Town area, we had three of us from my church. One guy was younger. He was kind of a pain in the butt. Hard to keep track of. When we got to the ellipse, it was peaceful. The people were great. I took a flag and put it on my staff that said, it showed the Kentucky flag on it and the U.S. flag. It said Kentucky supports Donald Trump, President Trump. And the people around us were wonderful. There were 2 women standing next to me who worked for the elections in Pennsylvania. And they said at that time that there were over 600,000 votes above their registered voters. When Dr. Frank came, he clarified that it was up over 700,000 votes. So, you know, was it stolen? Yeah, you figure it out, right? The election was definitely stolen. If you ever watched 2000, you just saw the amount of ballots that were brought in from all over the place. They couldn't do that again, but you know, like Donald Trump said this time, we got to be too big to rig, and he was right. So after seeing everything, we walked on up to the Capitol. I had a little altercation with some Antifa guys, but they're cowards, and they all sat down. Kept going. Got up there, was walking up to the Capitol with an ex-Marine recon and an Army Ranger. Ranger was about my age, and got up to the back of some guy said, we need you up here, you know, and it's actually the front. It was over by the house entry. Cop pulled up on a white Harley Sportster, and I went up to say hi to him. Said, you know, I've put a lot of miles on police interceptors. He's like, well, yeah, you know. I said, where's your backup? I don't know, they just told me to come to these doors. I said, man, you guys are outnumbered a lot. So he and 3 other guys were at the door that I went up to. That was the door entry that I found out later was going into the house corridor. I tried to get them to just let us go in. We wanted to talk peacefully to our representatives, tell them how we felt. They wouldn't. Somebody behind us yelled out, Trump's a racist. Now, the Army Ranger was a black guy my age. I said, so what do you think about that? He said, sir, I work directly for President Trump. He's the farthest thing from a racist there is. I said, yeah, I agree. Well, within a minute, we were thrown into the police officers. So I got maced by 4 cops of CS, and you know, went in my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth, and everywhere. My walking staff got broken, and so this isn't the one that I had, but it got broken. I had 2 pieces of wood in my hand. So with all the litany of charges I had, they gave me being on Capitol grounds with deadly weapons because of 2 pieces of wood in my hand. It was an amazing time. Well, that area, I wasn't going to go in the building. I was staying at the door, telling people don't break anything, don't hurt anybody. And these three guys picked up a big wooden bench, and they were using it to try to break down big door going into what I found out later was the house chambers. I went in and stopped, pulled them off of that. And then down to the left, there was another corridor, and some guy asked for a big metal sign, and they put that overhead, and there were no cops anyway, so I went down there. Well, that was the entry to the speaker's lobby, and that's where the guy came up and started. There were 4 cops at that door. They were armed, and the guy came up and started breaking the glass. Cops moved out of the way. He was using a ballistic helmet. Like I told the FBI officer, the agent that arrested me, you know, Zach, that's a funnel effect, man. 4 guys armed, that's my last stand, nobody's getting by. Why did they move out of the way and let him break the glass? Then Ashley Babbitt got scared because the tactical cops are all coming up the stairs where this guy came from with a ballistic helmet. Go figure, right? And she tried to climb through the opening. You hear gun, see, you know, Michael Bird lifts the gun up, shoots her. Now I had my first aid gear. I had it in here. So I went over, you know, pushing through the crowd. I said, you know, I want to give her some first aid. So everybody was yelling to let me in. Cops wouldn't let me give her first aid. So after she died, everybody was getting angry. I can yell kind of loud. I yelled real loud, and everybody shut up and did a prayer for her and for, you know, the protesters, for the police, for President Trump. I was the last one in that corridor. I was down on my knee, bending over her and praying for her. When I heard, hey, you gotta get out of here, you know, so I look up and there's this cop, man. He was about that tall. First Metro cop I saw. So I stood up, I said, okay, I'll leave. And I went to turn around, he thrust his baton and tried to crush my larynx, right? I saw it in time, I was able to flex my neck a little bit, and I said, son, you can't do that, I'm not resisting you, right? Turn around and get out of here. Then he tried to break my neck from the back. So that didn't work either. And you know, the FBI had it on tape, they wouldn't give me any of that stuff, but I said, hey, don't try that again, so I don't have to kill you, and I don't want to go to jail the rest of my life. So I backed out, prayed over all the police all the way out, went outside, told everybody I could find, every news agency, everybody I could find, I just witnessed a murder. An unarmed woman was shot, who wasn't a danger to anybody. My name's Peterson, I live in Hodgenville, Kentucky, so I knew I had to get out of here when I got home. That night, back in Arlington at our room, they showed the first video they fabricated. Our government fabricated the videos. And it was a gurney coming out with a woman's body on it, 2 cops, 2 Capitol cops, one at each end, and another guy giving chest compressions. And the news said, due to the heroic actions of the Capitol Police, they kept the woman who was shot inside alive until she got to the hospital, where she died hours later. That video, because I had a copy of it, I got over 20,000 hours of video to watch, was made 90 minutes after I was praying over her and she was dead on the floor. That was fabricated. So like I said to the FBI and the federal prosecutor, you know, that's desecration of a body. So she turns, they said, you know, they didn't offer her first aid. She turns her laptop around and slides another one showing cops giving her CPR on the floor. I said, man, your government fabricated that video too. You know, that's a fabricated video. That never happened. So it's kind of sad that the government that we had at that time, hopefully, everybody glad that Donald Trump's in? Everybody happy? Everybody glad that Kash Patel just got sworn in today? I think Kash Patel is going to be a good man. The agent that gave me my stuff back today, this week, said that he's leaving and going to the DOD. The guy that arrested me got a promotion. He's up in Indianapolis, but you know, he said, hey, Zach says to say hi. He was a good man. He's from here at Magnolia. Good man. Doing his job. Got me out of jail that night, the first night, and I had to go to prison later on after home incarceration, then more home incarceration. But I didn't go as long as you, but I had to go too. So anyhow, it's kind of sad what's happened at that time, and we hope and pray that Donald Trump can. I finally got my pardon this week in the via email too, so I got a Donald Trump pardon. No longer a felon, shouldn't have been. The judge was angry. The judge was a good guy. He's turned a little right now. Carl Nichols, he was a Trump appointee, and he's giving some hard time to Trump right now, but
he was angry in court, and he told the prosecution, you know, hey, I watched everything, and this guy should have been charged with a misdemeanor. He shouldn't have had a felony, you know, so. He only gave me 45 days in prison, but I had already spent two years in home incarceration, and then another 2 months with an ankle bracelet. But God bless Donald Trump. God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
You know, pray for them, keep them safe. Everybody wants to kill them, so keep them safe. Thank you.